You said after game 5, I got a lot on my mind.
Oh boy.
In what direction was your mind racing at that juncture?
I mean, everywhere. And I'm going to be good today. I am, because I'm just tired of our league. They need to step up and be better. Our leadership from top to bottom needs to be held accountable. I think that there are a lot of people in the position of powers in the WNBA who they might be really great business people, but they don't know about basketball, and that's got to change. I said I was going to be good, and I just messed up.
Sophie Cunningham just announced the WNBA is heading for an unthinkable lockout. It's infuriating that a $2.2 billion league still uses the word sustainability to underpay its stars. You will learn the specific, arrogant claims the commissioner made about Caitlin Clark that unified the players. Let's dive into the core of the Collier-Cunningham revolt and what it means for the league's future.
Players from that side of things are reaching out to us just like in awe of how terrible it is. Like, that's saying something. That is absolutely saying something when your counterpart is feeling bad for us because of how we're getting treated. I mean, come on. And that's from leadership. That's from,
The WNBA is currently experiencing a seismic shift. It's the fastest growing professional league on the planet, with viewership and valuation soaring to unprecedented heights. But this glittering billion-dollar success story is built on a lie, and the star players are finally exposing it. This isn't just a tough season. This is a full-scale rebellion against a leadership that is accused of being tone-deaf, unaccountable, and fundamentally disrespectful to the athletes who built this success. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert now faces a crisis of trust so profound that her very position is in jeopardy. This is the Collier-Cunningham revolt, an unprecedented act of defiance that has laid bare the rotten foundation of WNBA governance and forced the entire sports world to ask, who is actually destroying the WNBA from the top down?
Leave it there. From our leadership, it's just bad. When fans and players, especially players, when we're competing at the highest level and it's like a battlefield out there, when we're agreeing on the court because of how awful the officials are, like that's saying something. Like, listen to us. We're not going to come for your heads, but I think there is room for improvement to change the criteria when the whole league is asking for it. But when the leadership isn't doing anything about it, why? And so I think there's just frustration. The game's not fun to watch because everyone's just trying to kill each other, because that's how you're going to survive. Otherwise, you get injured. I don't know. It just sucks. Our game is changing, and yeah, we want it to be physical, but at the same time, like, you still want to watch good basketball. And when
To understand the revolt, you first have to understand the systemic failure that has festered for years: officiating. It is the core issue that binds every frustration. Year after year, players and coaches have complained about the dangerous, inconsistent play that forces them into a nightly battlefield mentality. The physicality of the game has escalated, but the refereeing has not. This creates an environment where star players are left exposed to reckless fouls and potential career-ending injuries, simply because the line for what is legal and illegal has completely blurred. This isn't an occasional missed call. It is a structural malfunction that shows the league office prioritizes its public image over the health and safety of its athletes. They ignore the coaches who are fined for speaking out. They ignore the players who are sidelined, and they ignore the undeniable fact that a poor product on the floor is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. This negligence was the tinder, and Nafisa Collier was about to throw the flame. The moment came during a season-ending exit interview, a setting usually reserved for polite thanks and hopeful forecasts. Collier, an MVP-caliber player and a key voice in the players' union, delivered a calculated, chilling declaration that sent shockwaves through the entire sports world.
I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office.
Reading a prepared statement, a sign of the gravity of her intent, she didn't just criticize, she condemned. She called out the lack of accountability from the league office as the single biggest threat to the WNBA. Her final words were the title of the revolt: We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. This wasn't just venting. This was a targeted attack on Commissioner Engelbert, an unavoidable demand for a reckoning that had been building in silence for years. Collier signaled that the private conversations were over. Now, the truth would be public. Collier didn't just levy general accusations. She unleashed a torrent of shocking private quotes that painted a devastating picture of the commissioner's mindset. She claimed that when she pushed Engelbert on the referee crisis, the response was a stunning lack of empathy. That only the losers complain about the refs. This quote alone was enough to destroy the commissioner's standing with the locker room, but Collier dropped 2 more bombshells. First, the commissioner allegedly claimed that players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the new media rights deal.
She told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
This attempt to claim credit for a deal heavily brokered by the NBA's Adam Silver infuriated the players. The final and perhaps most toxic claim was about the league's biggest star. Collier alleged Engelbert said Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA platform, or she wouldn't have her massive off-court deals.
I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
This exposed a fundamental, arrogant belief at the top, that the league bestows success when the players know they are the ones generating it. The final failure was the deterioration of officiating. The philosophy of letting them play devolved into unchecked brutality and inconsistency. Plays that would be instant flagrant fouls in the NBA were waved off in the WNBA. Players constantly took hard shots, got injured, and became cynical. This was a symptom of the larger problem. No one in power was being held accountable for the quality of the on-court product. When a once-in-a-generation superstar arrived, the system was not only unprepared to handle her, it was actively built to allow her to be physically beaten down. The arrival of Caitlin Clark didn't just boost ratings, it vaporized the WNBA's decades-old sustainability excuse overnight. The league saw a massive surge in viewership and attendance. The financial metrics at the core argument against higher pay were suddenly and irrevocably destroyed. This explosion exposed the great disconnect. The players were suddenly delivering a multi-billion-dollar valuation, but the league leadership led by Engelbert continued to operate under the old scarcity mindset. The tension wasn't about success, it was about how the sudden, massive windfall would be shared. The anger isn't just about officiating, it's rooted in a glaring financial contradiction. The players know their value has skyrocketed. Team valuations are exploding, and the WNBA is projected to make a staggering $200 million per season from its new $2.2 billion media rights deal. Yet, when the players demand fair contracts and a larger slice of revenue, the league's response has been consistent. The buzzword, sustainability. Collier called this out as a cynical, calculated lie. How can a business experiencing unprecedented growth use poverty as an excuse to its most crucial employees? The league is trying to keep the players' pay low, all while selling the world a vision of prosperity. This is why the players feel undervalued and dismissed. They are being told to protect the shield with their bodies every night, only to have the leadership deny them the financial reward and protection they've earned. The conflict is simple. The players see an empire, the leadership still treats it like a charity case. The movement needed a viral, unifying moment, and it got it from the Indiana Fever. Days after Collier's expose, Sophie Cunningham stepped up, turning a routine exit interview into the definitive statement of the revolt.
But you said know anything about basketball. Is there anything to that beyond officiating to you, or is that mostly?
Say what? I'm sorry.
You said that business people but don't know anything about basketball. Is that a critique beyond officiating, or is that most of where that?
No, I think it's Officiating for sure. I think that there's room for improvement there when, people are reaching, why is that a foul, or why is that not upgraded, or why is it not a foul? Well, the criteria says, well, the criteria needs to change, clearly. And I think that's kind of where, people are in position to change that, but they don't know basketball. Yeah, you've been around the game, but you haven't played. And, maybe that's on us players that after we're done, maybe we try to move into those positions so we can make the next generation better, so we can improve the game even when we're done. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that definitely needs to change.
With a sigh of absolute exhaustion, she declared she was just tired of our league before aiming her sights directly at the commissioner. Cunningham's unique criticism was that the leadership is filled with great business people, but they don't know DMN about basketball. This critique was brilliant because it didn't just question their ethics, it questioned their competence to run a professional sports league. She detailed how the poor officiating creates a safety nightmare, a fact that was especially resonant with the Fever, who felt their star rookies were relentlessly targeted. Cunningham wasn't just defending herself, she was defending Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull, saying they are forced to play through constant hacks because inconsistent refereeing has become normalized. She solidified the feeling across the league. The executives smiling courtside have no clue what the athletes are actually enduring to create the product they sell. The revolt escalated from criticism to an existential threat the moment Cunningham publicly put the lockout on the table. The current CBA is set to expire, and the negotiations have been contentious, with players wearing shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us." Cunningham's warning was chillingly specific. "We are not going to play until they give us what we deserve." This is an unthinkable risk for the WNBA. To endure a work stoppage during the greatest growth period in league history would be a catastrophic, billion-dollar blunder. But the players' threat is a sign of their unity and desperation. They believe the league's leadership is so deeply flawed and untrustworthy that a work stoppage is the only way to force the necessary change. They are willing to sacrifice a season of unprecedented visibility to secure a future built on fairness, safety, and true collaboration. The players are daring the league to call their bluff, proving they now hold the ultimate power. The battle for the WNBA's future is no longer happening in closed-door meetings. It is being waged in the court of public opinion, and the commissioner is losing decisively. Major league figures and media heavy hitters have all lined up behind the players. When Stephen A. Smith and Scott Van Pelt, two of the most influential voices in American sports, openly question if Engelbert should keep her job, the commissioner has lost the narrative completely. Furthermore, the players across the league have united. Legends like Lisa Leslie and championship coaches like Cheryl Reeve have echoed the same frustrations. The message is clear. The credibility of Engelbert's office has been irreparably damaged. Her generic defensive statements, her denial of the most toxic quotes, and her promise to do better have only confirmed the accusations of tone deafness. Fans and analysts see her not as a visionary leader, but as an obstacle to the league's inevitable growth. She has lost the locker room, and she is rapidly losing the public. This is an unthinkable risk for the WNBA. To endure a work stoppage during the greatest growth period in league history would be a catastrophic, billion-dollar blunder. But the players' threat is a sign of their unity and desperation. They believe the league's leadership is so deeply flawed and untrustworthy that a work stoppage is the only way to force the necessary change. They are willing to sacrifice a season of unprecedented visibility to secure a future built on fairness, safety, and true collaboration. The players are daring the league to call their bluff, proving they now hold the ultimate power. Collier and Cunningham were immediately backed by a league-wide conviction. MVPs like Aja Wilson offered full support. Even Caitlin Clark broke her silence to back Collier, stating the league needs great leadership at this time. This unified front is the players' ultimate leverage in the most important labor negotiation in league history, the 2026 CBA showdown. Collier's statement about being offered nothing in early talks and the promise of a lockout were the opening salvos. The players' demands are aimed at destroying the myth of scarcity once and for all. Revenue split. Demand for a true revenue-sharing model that scales their pay, alongside the league's exponential growth, moving toward the NBA's 50% split. Guaranteed charter flights. Permanent guaranteed charter travel must be written into the CBA, removing the commissioner's ability to play gatekeeper with player safety. Higher minimums, significantly higher veteran minimum salaries, and longer guaranteed contracts to stabilize careers and end the forced, dangerous overseas second job. If these basic protections are not delivered by the opt-out deadline, the players will refuse to take the floor in 2026, halting the WNBA at its peak and risking the entire $2.2 billion media deal. The WNBA stands at a historical precipice. The Collier-Cunningham revolt has forced a moment of profound crisis, demanding an answer to a single critical question. Will the league protect a single failing executive? Or will it secure the once-in-a-generation future that its players have laid at its feet? The players have demonstrated undeniable power and unity, proving they are the drivers of this success, not mere beneficiaries. If the leadership continues to ignore the escalating lockout threat, the demands for accountability, and the cry for a commissioner who understands the game, it risks squandering this moment entirely. The WNBA is poised for greatness, but that greatness can only be achieved by putting the players, their safety, and their financial value first. The pack is turning on the wolf, and the final decision will determine the fate of the league.